Hey, you want to see something really scary?
What's your favorite scary movie?
I'm gonna scare the hell out of you.
What was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk here.
What's blood for, if not for shedding?
Welcome to Fright Night.
Welcome back to Jump Scare. I'm Betty.
And I'm Chad.
This week, we're covering 1978's The Manitou.
How long have you had this?
About 3 days.
It has been 400 years since its last reincarnation.
Any pain?
It kind of moves sometimes.
The soul of black magic is waiting to be reborn.
What's your diagnosis?
For years, man has turned his back on the supernatural.
Mrs. Hurst! Might almost describe it,
Some will deny it.
as a fetus.
Others will fear it.
On her neck?
One woman will give birth to it. The Manitou. Since the beginning of time, it has practiced the mysterious arts. Its day is near. Each hour it grows stronger. Soon it will come. The Manitou. Starring Tony Curtis on a supernatural journey into the world of avenging spirits. John! Michael Ansara.
What does a white man want with Indian magic?
A modern American Indian thrust into a savage struggle with unspeakable taboos. Susan Strasberg, living in a nightmare. Innocent people, tormented by terror. Threatened by the unknown. Trapped by an ancient horror. The Manitou. An evil that never dies. It just waits to be reborn. The Manitou.
Yeah. The Manitou. Okay, so this is based by a novel by Graham Matherson, who was the editor of British Penthouse.
Yeah, Masterson was the editor of British Penthouse, and he wrote several dozen sex manuals. One is with titles like How to Drive Your Man Wild in Bed. Yeah, he's that guy.
Manitou.
And he also wrote 7 novels about the Manitou, and the main character in it, Harry Erskine, who's played by Tony Curtis in the movie.
Spoiler alert. For me.
I was like, what?
No, I was going to mention that later.
Yeah, and his Harry Erskine is his name, and tarot is his game.
I can't.
Yeah, because he's kind of a con artist psychic.
Is he?
Reads people's tarot and does all this, but he doesn't seem like he had any real powers. He just knew all these people that had real psychic powers.
He did. Or, I don't know. We don't know what the other novels, what they delve into. So we can't just make an assumption based on our first introduction of whatever his name is.
Harry Erskine.
Harry. Erskine is the part that got me.
Erskine is his name and tarot is his game. Just remember that and you'll be fine.
So we're watching the film and I'm like, Shad, is that Tony Curtis? That's not him. And then he's like, yeah, that's Tony Curtis. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Because I'm not used to seeing Tony Curtis look like that, I guess. I don't know. He's a little older from the Tony Curtis that I've seen. And it just didn't, it dawned on me eventually we weren't into an hour into the movie.
No, it was just a few minutes, but you were like, that's not Tony Curtis. Yep, it is.
Because when I think of Tony Curtis, I don't think of the Manitou. Like,
yeah.
This movie, I feel like it's definitely either, and I may be wrong, it's definitely maybe one of those things where, like, an actor could be in so many good movies, like, recognized movies, you know, and then, you know, they get older, they're not wanted, they're, you know, too much after, and then they just accept whatever comes across their thing that doesn't make them do anything crazy. And I feel like they failed with that one, because if whoever came to Tony Curtis and was like, here's the script, and he was like, yes, I'm on, that's wild. Because this fucking movie is the craziest movie, not that I've ever seen, but it's pretty out there. And I have a shit ton of questions. Like, I want to read this entire series because I need to know what is going on.
Well, I think part of the reason Tony Curtis probably did this was, you got to remember, all the movies about the devil and possession and craziness, they were making huge money in the 70s. And I'm sure the people, some of the time, they read the scripts and were like, oh, this is terrible. This is not going to make any money. Pass. And then they realize, oh, I just passed on The Exorcist or Rosemary's Baby or The Changeling or something like that, you know. So they're like, he probably saw this and thought, I'm going to get in on this one. I want to be in the, you know, the devil movie or the Manitou spirit. That's it. I'm getting in on it. Because he didn't want to miss out.
Now, the novel is an upstate New York village where a terrible Indian spirit returns to avenge the souls of his tribal brothers. Okay? That's the novel. And
the movie is like, Miskamakas is returning from the dead, and he's going to destroy the white man's world.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Via high-tech technology, wink, which today it's like laughable.
Well, no, the technology hurt him, remember? Because he threw a typewriter at him and it exploded.
Yes, but I'm saying, like, if someone that was like 19 that watched this film, they would be like, that was the high-tech technology. They would fucking roll on the floor like laughing, because exactly, there's a typewriter. The high-tech, because it had to be some kind of technology, because it was like, that was the thing, because of some weird level. It's like when you're watching, you know, whatever, the ladder, the middle, however, with Star Wars films. Oh, I guess they're going to be the middle, the beginning, right? And they're talking about midichlorians, and you're like, look, bitch, either you played Parasite Eve and you've heard about midichlorians before, because I knew about midichlorians before that fucking thing came out, or you're in the freaking stupid ass Star Wars world. You're like, what is this? That's exactly what I've, like, someone that watched this movie that age would be like, what's going on?
Well, now, the guy who directed this is a guy named William Girdler, and he had an interesting career. He died right before this movie actually came out theatrically in a helicopter crash while they were scouting for a location for a new movie. But his previous films include 3 on a Meat Hook, The Asylum of Satan, Abby, which was a movie that was sued out of circulation because apparently it was just a pretty much direct ripoff of The Exorcist, except they just changed the cast around and said, this time it's happening to an African-American family. And then they just remade The Exorcist. Now, I've never seen it, but I've just heard the rumors that that's what it was. And then he also made the infamous Grizzly, not the Grizzly 2, but the original one, and the Day of the Animals, which has Leslie Nielsen fighting like real animals when they all turn on people. That's the one where the animals all just collectively go, fuck this planet, and start attacking the people. So yeah, he's done some crazy-ass movies, and he wrote a lot of them, too. He wrote the screenplay for The Manitou, Abby, Asylum of Satan, 3 on a Meat Hook. He was all about it.
Yeah, so he was a screenwriter?
Yep, he did it for all those.
So then he reads this novel, and he's like, you know what? Okay, so there's an ancient Indian that's come back to avenge the death of his tribal brothers, and this is happening in a small New York village. So my interpretation of that is a psychic's girlfriend finds out she has a lump on her neck that is actually growing reincarnation of a 400-year-old demonic Native American spirit. Now, that is insane, okay? And a demonic and Native American, that, like, no. The movies, I'm going to tell you right now, if you are, are living in a certain age range, you might not be able to see this movie because it is not politically correct.
No.
It is politically incorrect. So I'm going to tell you right now, just go on to the next podcast that we're doing, because this film is not for you.
Yeah, there's a lot of things in it. Now, there's an actor in this named Michael Ansara, and if his name sounds familiar, it's because he played one of the first Klingons you ever saw on Star Trek. He was also in, like, I Dream of Jeannie. He was the voice of Mr. Freeze in Batman, the animated series. He's done a lot of things over the years, but one thing he is not is a Native American. And, of course, they immediately cast him in this role as the Native American medicine man who agrees to come and help when the shit starts going wrong.
Yeah. I have to say that it's definitely, you have to accept your history in order to learn from it, and you learn from the mistakes, and then you do better in the future. That's like the whole part of history, is to learn from it, right? So this is
there's a lot to learn from this movie.
There is a lot to learn. We have learned it is not the same America that it is back then when this movie was written. I mean, this is like 70s America. That's a completely different America than it is today. So different in so many ways, but this is what it was like living at that time. And this movie definitely is a movie of its time, not only in what we just spoke about, but
just the whole thing, like with the woman when she goes in and she's like, I've got this lump on my neck, and they're like, it's probably nothing to worry about. They look at her neck and she has like a baseball-sized lump on her neck.
It's
and just
huge. It's like how she's like, no offense, because it's an actual man, but it's like the beginnings of like the Elephant Man. It's terrible. Like, what?
And they just kind of like, you might be a little panicky there. Just relax. Like, calm down, woman. And,
Yeah, this woman was Miss Tandy, okay, was too calm. That she has a huge lump on her neck. She's so calm about it. Like, literally, I thought the bitch was gonna sell me some fucking, Girl Scout cookies. Like, she has wearing the scarf. She's very well dressed, very well spoken. And she's like, yes, it's like someone's just moving around in there, like, trying to get comfortable in the bed. And it's like, I would be literally running up and down. I got a fucking lump on my neck. Like, it's massive.
And she just seems like okay with it. Like, okay, well,
it's fine. It moves, and it's just the fucking size of a baseball plus. Where it's good.
What are you gonna do? We also got some appearances by Burgess Meredith in this, who he's the guy you go to when you have questions about Native American witch doctors from 400 years ago. Sure, why not?
And let me tell you, if you're speaking to a doctor or you're in some kind of doctor's appointment, okay, because this is like literally a quote from a discussion that the two doctors are having after looking at her x-ray to figure out what the fuck is in his neck, and they're talking about obviously cancer, and the doctor goes, I wrote the books and I don't know what the hell it is, like the books about these different types of cancer. He's like, I don't even... So if he wrote the books that discuss these, like, different types of cancer, and he doesn't know what this is, you have problems. Like, right there.
Yeah, it's not a good day for you.
Oh, and then what's in the x-ray? Looks like a 55-day-old fetus. Bom, bom, bom.
That's also a really bad sign. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Hell no. Okay? You're going to tell me that I got a baby growing out of my neck? Now, mind you, okay, I don't have to push it out of my woo-ha, so that's a plus. But I don't know how I feel about, like... And let me tell you, I didn't know where this movie was going to go. Shit, you saw this movie before a long, long, long time ago. Yes. So you didn't remember every single detail. But at the end of the film, wow, you really see some shit. I'm talking about, like, wow. And I also have to say that it was very slow paced. It felt like very TV movie like.
Yeah. This is one of those slow burn kind of things.
It's so slow.
It's a lot of them just going around and investigating what's going on, trying to find out what's happening. and just going to different people to talk to them about it. So you don't really, not much, for a long time, nothing like really crazy happens. And then the first really crazy thing that happens is, she's got this lump on her neck. Her boyfriend is going to try and, start investigating, like, if there's anything weird about it, after she says some, like, crazy shit under anesthesia. When they try to remove it, the surgeon, like, almost cuts his own hand off because it, like, possesses him and won't let him do it.
Now, let me stop you right there. The boyfriend is Tony Curtis, right? Harry Erskine is the boyfriend of Miss Tandy. And there's the introduction to this character, there's a whole thing where a woman who's an affluent-looking woman enters. Sorry, my brain just, like, disconnected there. And she goes to him, and he literally is telling her, like, that she's gonna have, like, indigestion on Thursday. She pays him, like, buku money. Why would you go to a tarot reader that's telling you you're gonna have some gas? Yes, bitch, she's gonna eat something and she's gonna have gas, or her stomach might have, like, a little thing if you found out that she was gonna eat shellfish or, like, a pound of tacos. Yes, did it take the cards to tell you that? That's how you know that, like we said before, he was kind of like a con artist.
Yeah, he was a little sketchy.
And then the drinking game is how many times they say Harry Erskine. They say it so many times, especially at the beginning. You'd be drunk 20 minutes into this movie.
And there's a great scene, like what I said, where they try to remove the lump, and then the lump attacks people psychically.
Yeah, the lump has psychic powers. Yeah, jeez, I don't. The lump has psychic powers. That's all I have to say about that. And it's like, move over, Carrie. A lump got you beat.
So there's a great scene in it, though. It had something. It's a very simple effect, but it's something I've never seen them do in a movie before or since this, to be honest. They do a seance to try and contact the spirit that's in the lump.
Oh yeah, this scene is cool.
And of course the seance goes wrong, like they always do. There's never a seance in a horror movie that goes right. Mm-mm. They never just find out what they need to know and go, well, that was efficient. And
not even leave. Ghost.
No, nothing. So when the seance goes bad, like when they sit down at the table, you saw there was like a piece of black glass in the middle of the table. It's like a wooden table with like a square piece of like dark glass in it. When they start talking to the spirit, like a face rises up out of the glass, and you can tell that for the effect they just replaced the glass with like oil so that it looked like it was a solid, and then someone just pushed their head up through there and then just worked their mouth, and they added in some creepy sound effects. And it looked, it's a cheap effect, but it looked really cool.
It looked amazing. I was like, why haven't they done this again?
Yeah, because it was a really cool, creepy effect. It was like, shit, the head's just rising up out of the table. But I guess, as you go on, if you keep doing that in different movies, it's going to be like, oh, I see what they're doing. But still, it was a very cool effect for this. And they did some interesting, they had the typical lightning flying out at people, the wind's going. I always love it when they bring the wind machine in and just turn it on like 11. Just blow actors and props and everything all over the set. I'm sure that must be fun to clean up afterwards.
Lord, that scene has a lot of things going on.
And there's another part where they're like, well, we couldn't remove the lump with a scalpel, so we're going to get a laser. And I mean a laser like the kind they have in Star Wars that just fires laser blasts.
It's freaking laser beams.
Which I'm reasonably sure they did not have in the 1970s. So when they said they're going to remove the lump with a laser, you're expecting like a little thin laser beam that's going to go through it. No, it's firing lasers like fucking Star Wars blasts at this fucking thing. And of course it also goes crazy. Is blasting people in the hallway, shooting out the place. And this is when they're finally like, I don't think we're going to be able to remove this through modern medicine. That's when they go out and go get Michael Ansara, which I forgot his character's name, but I'm sure it was a very sensitive. But
his name was Nightwing Tailfeather or something.
I'm sorry, John Singing Rock.
John Singing Rock, yes.
Yeah, they go get John Singing Rock, and he brings his medicine bag. And even the doctors at the hospital are kind of like, I don't know. And he gives them the hey, shut the fuck up. You white men couldn't solve this with all your medicine and everything, so now let me give it a crack. And one of the Dodgers even says, well, I mean, what's the worst he's going to do? Nothing. So they let him try. And that's when the shit starts to get really crazy, finally. You end up with, someone in the hospital pulls their face off because the spirit in the lump tells them to. By this point, the lump, by the way, is no longer the size of a baseball. It's like halfway down her back. It's the size of a small person, which coincidentally it is.
Yeah.
Miscamakis comes out, and he's being played by Felix Silva, which is the guy who played Cousin Id in the Addams Family. He played Tweaky and Buck Rogers. He's a very famous little person. And he pops out in this crazy looking, he's like bright red with like a enlarged mouth and very weird face makeup on. You don't really see his legs so much. He kind of like pulls himself around. There's fog everywhere for some reason. Yeah, it's...
I'm going to tell you right now that when I gave birth, no fog emitted into the room. And I'm kind of pissed about that. I feel like there should have been a fog machine.
Yeah, that would have been pretty cool.
That she just rose out of the fog, okay? Because this birthing scene is too much. I had to look away while I was filming a scene so then I could put it up on social media. But I had to look away after that.
I mean, I guess as far as for the woman, it's going to be okay because... Yeah, he pulled out the like big lump of skin on her back, and when she's done, I guess she can just have the extra skin removed. It'll be okay.
That's first of all, I don't think that much skin has been removed from a person. I hope not, because that's a lot of skin. Okay, it was like you could have made a hole. You actually did make a hole of the person. It was so much skin, And also, where do you? They never really explained, and I may be wrong because the movie was so long that I kind of may have been going in and out of that, from the film. How did she get it on her neck? Like, she just woke up one day, she was walking through Central Park or whatever, and then, like, she gets a little itch in the back of her neck, and boom, she's fucking impregnated?
I don't remember if they said where she got it or not. I don't think they did, to be honest.
I don't think they did. I think they were just like, the fucking Indian chose her, therefore, boom, that was the explanation. She was chosen. Like...
Yeah, it just kind of popped in there.
You would hate to be the chosen one for this one, because it's like when the chick gave birth in that Leprechaun movie that we covered.
Yeah.
And she gave birth to a pot of gold.
Yeah.
It was like 10 times worse than that, because even that scene is like, ow, fuck, it's terrible.
I think the worst one I remember, like when I saw it when I was very young and I wasn't expecting it, was that movie Extra, where the woman gives birth to the full-grown man.
Ew.
Yeah.
Ooh, Society. There's a lot of skin in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But, so, then it comes time to, they've got to fight Miscamakis and they have to kill him. And they realize, wait, everything has a Manitou or a spirit double. And he's like, even machines? And John Singing Rock says, yes, even machines have a spirit double.
Wink.
So the computers and everything that are, man-made also have spirits, Manitous.
Yeah, because humans made them, right? So they gave them life.
And this is where they figured out earlier. They threw a typewriter at Miscamakis and it completely fucked him up because he was like, what is this black magic? And he just explodes the typewriter and throws him back. He doesn't know what the fuck to do with the typewriter. So they decide that they're going to turn on all the machines in the hospital. The computers, the x-ray machines, the typewriters. They've got everything going. And they're going to use the Manitous of these machines to team up with John Singing Rock. And they're all going to defeat the Manitou.
I feel like at one point they also stated like that the Manitou machines may also side with the elder Indian. So
he may not. They may take his side. So they have to ask them. So they ask them nicely if they will help them.
Please, Manitou machine, assist me.
So the Manitou of the machines assist them and help them fight the Manitou of Miscamakis reborn.
Miscamakis.
And then in what is my favorite part of the movie.
No, wait. It's at the end because I want to say that part.
Okay, you can start it. I get to say. I'm going to say something about the end, though.
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
So,
what's your favorite part?
They call out the Manitous. Everybody's in combat with them. And that's when they step into the room, and the hospital room is no longer a hospital room. Nope. It's turned to a starfield.
Yeah, it's
the kind of starfield you can only get when you paint the room green and just project a starfield onto it, like the weather map. And the woman is just laying there in the bed. The Manitou is floating in space. And it's become, at this point, instead of the little guy, it's now become like a weird amorphous cloud of red that looks like something you would have seen on the original Star Trek series floating at the Enterprise. And that's when she decides to raise up from the bed, shirtless.
And let me tell you right now, dumb titties made him explode because he had never seen dumb titties like that before. Okay. Yeah. That's exactly, and he saw her breast and he was like human combustion.
Well, and that's when she also starts firing her magic lightning and laser beams from her eyes.
From her tits.
And you're like, wait, what? This is not a thing, really? But, oh, yes, it is. And it's amazing. And she explodes the fucking Manitou. And that's pretty much the end of the movie.
It was her love for Harry Erskine and the power of the machine Manitous that gave her the massive power to destroy this ancient elder Indian god chief.
Yeah. And then at the end of it, we get treated to a little true fact. There's like, in India, someone had a large lump the size of a basketball on their arm that contained a fetus. True story. And then the credits roll, and you're like, what the fuck was that? Like, are you fucking with me right now?
Just in case y'all people think that this isn't fucking possible, and we just fucking blowing your ass out of the fucking, what is it, suspension of disbelief. This actually happened somewhere in the world. Wink.
Yeah. In case you thought this wasn't possible. Oh, it was. Oh, it was. You're like, well, no, I don't think it was.
Oh my god, this movie's a gem. I give it 3.5 knives.
It's something. I would give it it's in terms of entertainment and laughing at it, it's a 3.5 knifer.
Yes.
But in terms of actual movie, it's
a 2 knifer. It's a 2 knifer. It's a 1.5 knifer. But you see, I'm not that good in math, so 1.5 and the 3.5. So it would just be overall 2 stars. 2.5 stars.
Yeah. It's entertaining. It was fun to watch, but I can't claim that it was good in any way, shape, or form. I really want to read the novels now, at least one of them, and see how the novel compares to the movie, because back in the day they just bought the rights to that shit and they didn't give 2 fucks if they got the title for it. The title had sold a bunch of books. They just made whatever fucking movie they wanted.
Literally, Graham Masterson's novel and what's his face's screenplay completely different. You know what they took away? They were like Indian,
Manitou,
Indian, New York, Manitou, boom. And it just ran with it and created this other crazy thing.
That was it. That was all they did.
Yeah, just based on a synopsis of the book versus the thing. There's no way that, obviously, someone has a lump, but it's just the whole thing of it. The movie was just mind-blowing insane. You're never going to see a movie like that ever again.
Yeah, and as much as I like the actor Michael Ansara that played John Singing Rock. I like that guy. He's a good actor. He has a good voice. That's why they picked him for Mr. Freeze. But you're watching this and him, and you see him in this, and it's like, oh no, please don't be in this movie, Michael Ansara. I did read a thing on his website that said after this movie, he turned down a couple of parts where he found out it was supposed to be a Native American played it. He was like, oh no, I'm not doing that again. Once was enough.
Yeah, one and done. We have finished watching another crazy movie, which we're going to cover later on. And this is right up there. This year, these are the 2 top movies so far that we've watched that are just mind-blowing insane.
Yeah, the next one, I thought it was going to be a simple anthology, and oh, it was.
No, it was a good. I give myself a pat on the back for that one. Well, for both of us, because But yeah, cheers all around. Because I just can't. We'll just have to stay tuned until we do it. But is there anything else you wanted to say about the film?
No. I feel like maybe this might be one of those movies that's so bad that you could do a good remake of it, though.
No. Just a part where somebody has a lump and a baby comes out, or something comes out of it. But with everything going on right now, I don't think that this movie would be a good remake. What would come out, though? Because obviously it could not be an Indian tribal chief. It couldn't be an Indian tribal.
It couldn't be Miss Kamakas.
It's not going to be Miss Kamakas.
It would have to be like they would probably just make it like a witch that was... it'd be a witch that was burned at Salem like they always do. You know
what? Just stop. Fear Street already went in that route, guy. Let's not do it. That won't stop them.
They'll be like, oh, well, it was successful then, so it's going to be
successful
successful
it was,
again.
and it shouldn't have been, because those were fucking terrible. Terrible. But no. But yes, that probably would happen. Let's blame the witches, because there's no one else that ever did anything. I'm not going to watch it. Well, thank you so much for joining us in another episode of Jump Scare the Horror Podcast. Stay tuned to the horror.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.